Welcome everybody, I'm Killzone, and this is a little bit of a different kind of documentary than I usually do. Usually I do it because of the storyline or whatever, but this time I'm grabbing two different comedy skits and doing a documentary on those. The reason as to why is because these comedy skits have a lot of... They have a special place in my heart. So, for those that don't know, I actually started doing YouTube videos as early as 2012. I had started making comedy skits on this YouTube channel with, at the time, one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world, my best friend Marcus. You guys knew him as Mr. Fizzy. Well, what ended up happening was that over time, and whatnot, we ended up making a lot of videos, and they were actually pretty successful, which was really amazing because these videos, they would be uploaded, and over time, they got a couple thousand views, a few thousand views, and that was the average. There was a couple that were like a few hundred, but that was still amazing, especially for us. Overall, we posted maybe about 20 videos, and got somewhere in the valley of like 40K views in total. It was insane. It was fucking phenomenal. I loved it. Well, what ended up happening is that around the time that... Sorry, I'm cracking my fingers. Around the time that I was about 16, there was, we were going to go and celebrate my birthday. Now, the thing is that Marcus was so close to me as a best friend that he was like a brother to me. My entire family looked at him like, part of the family, like he was my brother, and, he was family to me. We hung out all the time whenever we could. Hung out every single day whenever we could. We'd sleep over at each other's places as much as we could. We had so much fun. It was a great friendship. However, around the time of my 16th birthday, there was a movie that was coming out called Captain America Civil War. And what ended up happening was that I invited Marcus to come, because the way that it worked was that whenever we would go to celebrate my birthday, instead of asking for a birthday celebration or any birthday gifts, I would ask if, hey, can me and the family go and just see the newest Marvel film that would come out about 2 weeks after my birthday, usually, and that would be my celebration and my gift. Can that just be it? And it would be usually a yes, because everyone loves Marvel. And so, usually my mom would invite one or two of my friends, and that would be part of the celebration as well. And we invited Marcus and his cousin, because, me and his cousin were pretty close friends too. And a couple days before, the actual birthday celebration itself for Captain America Civil War, because we were going opening day, Marcus calls me. And he says, hey, can we talk? And I'm like, sure, what's up? And he says, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And this threw me off, but it wasn't entirely like a whole out of left field kind of thing. Because for the previous month, prior to when he called me and said he didn't want to be friends anymore, he seemed kind of distant. He didn't seem as close as he was before. I was able to have conversations with his family, his brother, his cousin, no issues. Him, he just seemed distant. I didn't know what was going on. And still, somewhat to this day, I don't know the full story. But he just seemed somewhat distant, and I didn't understand why. And I asked why he was wanting to end the friendship. Was it something I did? And he basically said that he wasn't a fan of the way that I joked anymore. For anyone that has been on my channel long enough knows that from when this channel started to the way that this channel is now, my humor has more or less stayed exactly the same. So what he said was he didn't appreciate how I was joking with him. That apparently I had changed over time, and that my humor was not the kind of humor he liked. And he basically said that he wasn't a fan of the gay jokes, which were basically like, it was that stereotypical friendship thing where you'd be like, oh my god, like, let's go hang out. Like, you just kind of do it just to make them feel uncomfortable because you know that they don't roll that way, but you just make the gay jokes just to make them uncomfortable. It was just that. It was just playful banter. But I guess over time, he just didn't like it, which, to each their own, I suppose. But yeah, it kind of threw me off because when he met me, I still made those exact same jokes. Hell, he made those same jokes. Of course, he didn't make them to the degree I did. I made them a lot more often than he did. And obviously, I ain't no bitch, so if you try to make a gay joke back, I'm gonna make a gay joke even worse towards you and make you feel even more uncomfortable. Like, you're not gonna make me feel uncomfortable. That's just how it is. It's just kind of how it was. That was kind of our friendship. And he claimed that I had changed over time to the point where he didn't like it anymore. I asked any of my friends and family if I had changed over time. They said no, that your humor's basically been the same. So I just came to the conclusion that it just wasn't for him anymore. So our friendship ended. Now you might be wondering, what does this have to do with the two videos? Well, as I mentioned before, we made a lot of videos together. We did a decent amount. Like, there were challenges, like the cinnamon challenge. We did a challenge where if you didn't do this one thing, you'd have to eat a leaf, like an actual leaf we got off of a tree. We did Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong, which is a video I redid. Miley Cyrus, Rejected Miley Cyrus, stuff like that. We did a bunch of videos together. Now, the thing was is that we both had access to this YouTube channel. Well, when me and him stopped being friends, I respected his wishes. It was really hard, don't get me wrong, because literally we hung out so often, it was literally like, like it just sucked, one. And two, it was really hard to avoid him considering, no joke, he lived directly across the street. If you exited out of my house and walked maybe about 50 feet forward, you would literally be at his front door. That's literally how close he was. It was ridiculous. So the idea that our friendship would be over when we lived this close, it kind of sucked. Well, what ended up happening was about 2 months after that, I go to the YouTube channel that we both had access to. And apparently, he did not appreciate the videos anymore because it reminded him of our friendship. So he went behind my back, went onto the YouTube channel, and deleted every single one of them. He deleted every single video, not even giving me a chance to download one single video. And that shit hurt. That shit broke me because that was literally years and years of me just investing my time into making these comedy skits with him. That was memories that we made together. Yeah, we weren't friends anymore, but that was still memories. The laughs that we had, the enjoyment we had, the laughs I had with my other friends and family who viewed that. Like, it hurt when he did that, and it fucking pissed me off too. Did I say anything to him? I said, why'd you delete them? He never gave me a response. And after that, I was like, if he tries to contact me again or tries to be friends with me again, I'm not dealing with that. I'm not dealing with that. That's not for me. And after that, I could never get those videos back. I tried my best. I tried to do this thing called the Wayback Machine, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it's a website where if it's been like uploaded to the Wayback Machine, or the Wayback Machine has some semblance of knowing about it, so it has to be somewhat knowledgeable, like a fucking popular video or whatever, the Wayback Machine possibly can find it, because it can go back and even find deleted parts of the internet. The Wayback Machine didn't have it. They didn't have any of the videos. I still had the channel link, so I could use that for the Wayback Machine. They didn't have it. I tried looking on social medias for it. Could not find it. All I could find was the thumbnails. I never could find the videos. And it hurt. It hurt because those videos were so great. They were so great. Like, I even was considering paying people to try to find the videos because I didn't have backups. And it hurt losing those videos. So, yeah, eventually, funny enough, speaking of this, eventually he moved. For about 2 years he was gone. And he came back after 2 years, moved not exactly across the street, but across the street one house over, and he tried to be friends with me again during my senior year. He tried to be friends with me again, but he had changed so drastically compared to who he was before, because he used to act a lot like me. He used to act a lot like me, and still how I act now is very similar to how I was when I was younger. Of course, a little more mature, but you get my point. He acted very similar to me to the point of where people would sometimes mistake us as, like, literal brothers because we acted so similar. And now he just kind of was more, I guess you could say, hard or thuggish. Not gonna say, like, he was, a thug, but you get my point. Like, he just wasn't the same. And at first, I tried to be friends with him. I tried. But after a couple of days of trying, I just realized that he had changed too much for me because I was wanting the friendship I used to have with him. Before we cut ties with each other and stopped being friends, I wanted that friendship. If you told me I could have that version of Marcus and be friends with him, oh, I'd be friends with him to this day. Easy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Be friends with that motherfucker so quick. That dude was the life of the party. Amazing. But this new one just wasn't for me. It just wasn't. And I cut ties with him this time. I didn't say anything. I just stopped hanging out with him after those 2 or 3 days, blocked him on everything again, and I never talked to him again. Now, you might be wondering, okay, nice story, where does this documentary go to? It goes to these videos. So, the stories behind these 2 videos in particular, and if I can eventually find the scripts for the other videos that we created, then I will recreate those as well. But these are the 2 videos that I can remember the best off of the top of my head. So I'm going to give you the stories behind them. So, Rejected Miley Cyrus was... Originally, what happened was that the exact same events transpire, except Marcus was on the couch, and his cousin Chris just came out of nowhere and said, "Don't you ever say I just walked away, I will always want you," and then he just jumps on him like running, ah! Well, when Marcus told me that story, I thought it would be a funny thing to recreate and make into a video. So we recreated it, where I'm recording the camera, and I'm like, "Hey, so what are you doing now?" "Oh, nothing, just on Facebook," that's what he says. And then Chris comes down the hall and is like, "Don't you ever say I just walked away, I will always want you." And then he attacks him. And that was it. It was a fucking great video. I watched it so many times. I laughed so hard at the original version. So I did my best to recreate it. And in my opinion, it came out pretty well. It came out pretty good compared to the original, of course. Then the second video that I made, which was Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong. Now, Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong, the reason why it's titled Gone Wrong is because originally there are 2 Paranormal Activity videos that were on the channel. The first one was a stereotypical Paranormal Activity video, so basically what happens is that me and Marcus knock on the door of this home. When we knock on the door, we're like greeted by my sister, but in the story she's obviously not my sister, and we're like, "Hey, we're with paranormal investigators and we heard you're experiencing some sort of a problem." And she says, "Yeah, it's my brother Chris." And we're like, "Can we come in?" And she's like, "Yeah, right this way." She walks us to my bedroom, but of course in this story it's Chris's. And we go inside and we're like, "Okay, so what's his name?" And she's like, "Chris." And we go inside the room and he's got his head down and he's in a gamer chair and he's got his head down, he's looking down, and out of nowhere the lights turn off. But of course one of us flicked off the lights. And so the lights flick off, and when the lights flick off, when the lights flick back on, Chris is gone. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. We're getting beaten up in the dark. We're getting absolutely demolished in the dark, getting our asses handed to us. Chris is making all kinds of hissing noises like, ah, like that and shit. And he's just being savage and beating the fuck out of us. And that was eventually what ends up happening is Chris escapes, and what happens is that me and Marcus realize that he's escaped. We run outside, and we see that, my sister, or aka the sister of Chris in the story, is nowhere to be found, and we go outside the front door, and Chris has escaped, and we are like, fuck, he got away. That's the end of the video. Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong is one of our takes. Now, the reason why I say one of our takes is because back then, we didn't know how to edit, and so we had to take every single one of our videos had to be taken as one shot, one continuous shot. So if we recorded a 5-minute video and we had one fuck up, we had to start all over again. This Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong video, or this Paranormal Activity video that we had, we took probably 5 hours to record. And that's not a joke. And this video was probably about 7 minutes long. Eventually we got it, but it took a while. Paranormal Activity Gone Wrong was one of our takes. And so what happened was that the same events transpire. Me and Marcus knock on the door, and Rachel, my sister, opens the door, says, "Right this way," takes us to the room where Chris is, and when we ask for his name, we're like, "What's his name?" And she says, "Chris." All we hear from down the hall is my mom screaming, "Who left a giant submarine and forgot to flush it here? What the hell?" And then slams the door and says, "Is that supposed to be funny?" And we later found out that Chris basically shat, like he took a shit in my house's toilet and didn't flush, so my mom kind of ruined our take, and later on when we told her she ruined our take, she kind of just laughed about it. We uploaded that one, and that actually became our most popular video on the channel, the blooper, basically. And it was so great, it was so funny, we loved it so much, it was so great, it was amazing. But yeah, that's the story behind those videos. Of course, there were other videos like the cinnamon challenge where we tried to do cinnamon. Didn't work out too well. We just choked on it and we're like, fuck this shit. And then eventually we failed. And so then we did the hot chili pepper challenge where we ate a hot chili pepper, and you best believe some shit happened there. And then, yeah, it was it was a really nice channel. Sadly enough, the reason why the channel was gone is because our friendship died out. But this was a channel that predates not only my gaming channel, but my stop motion channel, but also this channel with the Killsong and, Killer Ted series. Like, this predates all of those. So, for me, this channel that I made with Marcus had a lot of sentimental value. It had a special place in my heart. To see it go, because he didn't give me any prior warning about him deleting the videos, it really hurt. So for me, I wanted to recreate the videos as best that I could remember, at least some of them, because obviously I can't remember every single one. But I wanted to recreate them the best that I could remember them, with the characters that I've developed over the years, and it really, it's really special. Like, those videos are very special to me, and I'm really glad that I was able to recreate them to the best that I could with this, because those videos were really special to me. But either way, so with that, guys, I'm going to close. Kill Zamza, and I'm out for now. Peace.